Have you ever wanted to become the ultimate space outlaw? Well, thanks to Starfield, that is now possible, which releases today. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to build your character to become that ultimate space outlaw. So with that, let's jump right into the video. Now, before we actually get into the build, I do want to preface that this build is not necessary to beat Starfield. Starfield's not a game where you need to min-max your character in your build to beat some final boss or to compete in an endgame. This is strictly a RPG, meaning that you don't have to min-max your character to be able to have fun with this build. So really, you only use this build if you want to have a similar playthrough as I do. This is the build I'm going to be running, and I wanted to share that with you because I want to be basically like Han Solo, riding through the galaxy, looting, pirating, taking everything I can, and sticking it to the big guys. That's my playthrough. That's how I want to have fun in this game. And so if you guys have a similar interest, then that's what is for you guys. Now, say you don't want to play like that, leave me a comment down in the comments below of what you want to play like, and I can help you guys set up some builds in the future. So with that, let's jump into the video, and please remember, you don't have to follow this build. Enjoy the game. If you want to set up your own crazy thing as you go, do it. You can do anything in this game. The build is completely up to you to optimize how you want to play. So with that, let's jump into the actual build. Now, the first thing I want to cover is the actual background for your character. And now the background sounds like it would be important, but really it doesn't do a whole lot. And the reason is we only basically just get 3 starting points. So when you look at this, you just want to have a good mix of something for, health, for damage, and maybe piloting. And so when we look at this, my personal choice is of course going to be Space Scoundrel. I mean, it's kind of perfect for our build, right? We have 10% for pistol damage, which is great. We have piloting, and we can utilize ship thruster straight off the bat. That's another great thing. And increased chance of persuasion, another great thing. Because if you're a Space Scoundrel, you need to be pretty savvy with your persuasion so you don't get caught all the time. So that's kind of perfect for us. That's where we're going to go with the Space Scoundrel. Now, there's a ton of good ones here. Really, just pick the ones that are going to be best for you. They're basically just going to give you 3 starting points. This isn't a huge choice right here. Just keep that in mind. You're going to get a ton of points to choose anything that you want later on. This is just 3 starting ones. Now, as you level up, you're going to get points to put into different skill categories. Now, you can do these in any order that you really want. Now, me personally, I am going to focus on some combat first, get some damage up, and then I'm going to probably focus on some physical to get some health, some stuff like that. Now, that's what I'm going to do as I'm leveling. For the video, we're just going to go in category by category, going through what we're actually going to put points in. So for that, let's jump into it. So starting off in physical, of course, we want fitness. Sprinting and power attacks use significantly less oxygen. This is great. You're going to be doing a lot, and I mean a lot of running in the game. So the more you can run definitely is the better thing. Now we're going to move over here to wellness. Increase your maximum health by 40%. That is just a huge thing for survivability. Definitely want to take some points into that. Now weightlifting, if we're going to be playing like Han Solo, we're going to be carrying a lot of cargo. And so we definitely want to boost our weightlifting as we're going to be mining and gathering resources a lot. Now we did throw 2 points in here into stealth, and this is just going to help us in those situations where we want to take out some enemies without alerting everyone that's there. And then 4 points into nutrition, and we did this for a very specific reason because one of the traits that we're going to choose later on is going to reduce the effectiveness of our food and drink. So this kind of counteracts that and actually gives us a small boost. Now in our final calm down here, we have rejuvenation. Regenerate health even faster outside of combat. You can now regenerate health quickly in combat. This is super nice to have. It's basically just going to make it so that you're always topped up on health, because if you don't have this, you're going to have food and drinks on you constantly to make sure you're topped up. This is a highly, highly recommended point. Now moving on here to social, this is going to be a very, very important tree for us, seeing as we're going to be an outlaw in breaking laws and making people upset. So commerce, we're going to be buying and selling a lot. So this is a great perk for us, going to give us more money, and it's going to make it cheaper to buy stuff. Probably the most important perk in this whole thing, 50% increase of success when persuading someone. This is going to be super, super important to have. And overall, it's going to make it very, very nice when we're talking to NPCs, giving us a chance to escape out of some sticky situations. Now, next here with deception, as a space pirate, we're going to be running into other ships quite often. And this one's actually pretty cool. So ships 20% stronger than you will automatically surrender to piracy demands. Enemy contraband scans are 20% less effective. This is super, super nice. So say you run into a ship that's even stronger than you, they'll automatically just give in to piracy, letting you just take all of their stuff. It's going to be super, super nice, especially in the early game. And in negotiation, a very important point, occasionally bribery won't cost any money. This is going to be super, super nice for us. We want to keep as much money as we can. we're going to be bribing people a lot. Now, next up, we have leadership. Doubles the bonuses of combat and companions. Companions have a chance to pick themselves up from a down state. Now, why are we focusing on companions here? I plan to have as many companions as it will let me have. And we actually have another thing, ship control. You can now have up to 8 active crew members. And why do I want so many companions? Well, space is a big place, and I don't want to fly by myself. You know, this is a single player game, but with companions, it makes it feel like not so much of a single player game, and I want to have as many as I can. Now, we do want some other stuff here, manipulation, which I believe is an extremely strong perk. Manipulated targets now obey commands for a substantial amount of time, meaning you can force your will upon others to do your bidding, which I think could be incredibly useful in the playthrough. Now, next we have our combat tree. So let's look at this. Ballistic. Ballistic weapons deal 30% more damage. And why did we choose this? I plan to use ballistic weapons, most likely a rifle. And as you'll see, that's why I'm spec'd into the rifle categories with crit damage. That's what I plan to use, is a ballistic rifle. Now, say you want to use like an energy particle beam, that's totally fine. Just make sure to respec to the weapon that you're going to be using. You know, if you say you don't want to use a ballistic weapon with like a rifle, for instance, that's fine. Just make sure to actually click the skills that you're going to be using. So like I'm going to use ballistics with our pistol certification and then a rifle certification. And then we have rapid reloading ballistic weapons 30% faster. And you can hold your breath longer with scoped weapons. Now, again, I plan to use a rifle. They're going to have a scope, so that is what synergizes for us. Again, if you want to use something else, you know, switch these to your liking. And then sharpshooting is the one I like here. Increase all critical damage to enemies by 50% with ranged weapons. Again, rifles, ranged weapons, it synergizes. That's the plan here. Again, like say you want to use something else, that's totally fine. Just put here really what you want to be running and the weapons you're going to be focusing on. Science. Here's where we're going to be spending a lot of our points in science. This is another huge movement perk because it allows us to basically go faster and farther, even better. You know, when we're traversing these huge planets, mining and looking for stuff, we want to be able to go the distance. Medicine, med packs and trauma packs and emergency kits restore 20% additional health 20% faster. This is really nice for, you know, when you're in those combat situations and you need to heal yourself really quickly. You can now research and craft superior spacesuit helmet and pack mods. I think this is going to be very, very important later on in the game. You know, you want to get a nicer and better spacesuit for more armor. You know, you can research and craft superior armor mods. This is going to be another big one for actually increasing the damage of your specific weapons. As we move down here into astrophysics, you can scan any planet or moon in the system. You have a 20% chance to discover a trait when scanning. This is just a win-win. You know, you're able to scan even more planets and you can gain stuff from it. Overall, I think this is going to be a very, very nice perk. Chemistry, you can now research and create superior chems. Now, I do think this is going to be very important later in the game. You know, chemistry and crafting in the research lab and all that stuff, I think it's going to be very important. Again, I haven't had any hands-on with the game yet, so we'll see how important this is later on. It's not something I'm going to be focusing on at the beginning, but as I level up, I will definitely be putting some points in this. Outpost engineering, you can research and conduct superior outpost modules. This I definitely plan to put some points into because I definitely want to build a really, really cool outpost, probably on several planets across the galaxy. That's my plan. Definitely want to do some really cool builds. Special projects, you can craft rare manufactured components at an industrial workbench. Now, again, I haven't had any hands-on experience with this, but I think this is going to be really nice to be able to craft, you know, more better things, especially as we get farther into the game. Planetary habitation, you can build outposts on planets with extreme pressure. Increase the maximum number of outposts you can build by 8. Now, again, definitely going to be using this a lot. Want to build outposts on as many planets I can, and now I can have 8 spread across the galaxy to use whenever I please. Now, finally, let's get into tech. Boost pack training. Boost pack fuel regenerates more quickly. Again, another movement ability. Unlock the ability to pilot Class C ships. We want to be able to pilot everything we possibly can, so this is nice to be able to pilot a higher class of ship. Time to lock onto enemy ships is reduced by 60%. Deal 20% increased damage in targeting mode. Again, you know, if we're in space combat, we want to be able to do as much damage as possible. Ship boost lasts longer and the cooldown is shorter. Another movement perk, but for our ship. Ship cargo holds have 50% more capacity. Again, if we're going to be this looting pirate of the galaxy, we're going to need to be storing a lot of cargo on our runs. So this is going to be the best bet for us. Your ship has 40% increased shield capacity. Now, in my playthrough, I imagine my ship's going to be attacked a lot, especially if we're going around looting stuff, carrying large cargo holds. We're probably going to be targeted by quite a few number of bandits. So with that in mind, I want to make our ship a little bit tankier. Starship design allows the installation of experimental ship modules. Now, I think this one could be really, really cool because I want to make, if possible, the Millennium Falcon in this game. Now, as you can see here, this is what I want to make, the Millennium Falcon. I don't know how well that's coming through on camera, but this is my cool sign that I got, and that's what I'm going to be trying to make in this game the best I can. I know the shipbuilding's super complex. I don't know how close we'll get to actually making the Millennium Falcon, but I think it could be really, really cool, especially if we're Han Solo. You kind of have to. You have to try at least. And finally, we have our animated weapon systems. Automatic ship weapons do 20% more damage and reduce all targeting costs by 30%. Your ship takes 20% less damage while in targeting mode. Again, we're taking less damage, we're doing more damage, and our automatic weapons are even better, so it's a win-win-win for us. Now, our background and our skills overall, they don't matter as much because you can choose any of these as you level up. Especially your background, you can choose any of them at all. But traits are a little bit different. You only get 3, and they dramatically change how the game is played in your playthrough. And so with that, I took a lot of time going into the 3 that I wanted, starting out with alien DNA. You volunteered for a controversial experiment that combines alien and human DNA. As a result, you start with increased health and oxygen, but healing and food items aren't as effective. Now, this is really nice. Increased oxygen, better movement speed, you can run longer, do bigger attacks, and increased health, harder to die. And if you remember correctly, we put points into wellness, increasing the effectiveness of our food and drink items. So I think these cancel out, and it's just going to make us a better, stronger character. I think this is going to be a very, very solid perk. Wanted. Now, if we're a space pirate, a space scoundrel, whatever you want to call it, we're going to be wanted. So I thought this was a fitting perk here. And let's read it. Someone put a price on your head and the word has spread. Occasionally, armed mercenaries will show up and try to kill you, but being cornered gives you an edge. When your health is low, you do extra damage. I think this could be super, super nice, especially in those high conflict situations where maybe you're outnumbered. You're taking damage, and it's going to allow you to survive and kill all the enemies that you need to get out of there and get back to your ship. Now, finally, Neon Street Rat. You grew up on the main streets of Neon. You gain access to the special dialogue options and better rewards for some missions on Neon. Crime bounties by other factions is greatly increased, incompatible with the Freestar Collective Settler and United Colonies. So why did we choose Neon Street Rat? And it's because of the smuggler missions. All of the smuggler missions we are going to get are going to be from Neon. And since we chose this perk, we're going to get a better reward for those missions, more of them, and just make them better overall. And if we're going to be the ultimate space outlaw, we're going to be doing a lot of smuggling. And so that's why I chose these 3 traits. I think these 3 traits are probably the best setup for this kind of playthrough. Again, you know, if you want to run a different playthrough, you're going to use a completely different set of traits. Now, if you're going to replace any of them, the only one I would really recommend is replacing as Wanted. I feel like Alien DNA and Neon Street Rat are really, really important for this build. And if you're going to replace Wanted, there's a few you could choose. Hero Worshipped isn't a bad one because you're going to be getting an extra crew member and gifts, basically given from the adoring fan, which seems like a good one. Empath, I don't think will be good for this playthrough because of the stuff we'll be doing, like smuggling and stuff like that. We don't know how our companions are going to like smuggling, you know, doing stuff like that. That's not necessarily with the law. I don't really know how the companions will view that. That's why I didn't choose Empath. Now, one we could do is Taskmaster, and that's because we're going to have so many crew, and I think Taskmaster is probably the one I would go with if I wasn't going to do Wanted. I'm going to be running Wanted, but that is the one I could see people changing up, and that's what I would recommend if you do want to change it. Now, that is going to wrap up my Starfield build guide. Now, again, this is just my playthrough, what I'm going to be running. You know, if you don't want to do the kind of playthrough I'm doing, then I wouldn't recommend this build guide. But if you do want to do, you know, kind of a Han Solo space outlaw kind of playthrough, then I think this is a great place to start. You know, tweak it however you like for your benefit, however you like to play. And, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, again, leave your comments down below about what stuff you want to run. I can try and help you guys set up some more builds. So with that, thank you everybody for watching. I hope to see you guys in a future video, and peace out.